We are not the first to dream of eternal youth. People have always dreamed of living as long as possible, and ideally forever. The ancient Greeks and Chinese sages and medieval alchemists were looking for a super remedy that would restore youth. But which ones will phenomenally surprise you? Which ones shock you? First crazy method: swim in crocodile poop. Ancient Greece had its own recipes for fighting old age. The ingredients were not cheap. According to one recipe, to prepare a magical remedy that prolongs life, it was necessary to mix African honey, healing roots from Galia and Macedonia, gentian from the islands of Crete, four vipers from Sparta, and finally add the air of centaur. Well, if you don't have the couple of these hairs lying around, well, you'll have to be content with crocodile feces. It was considered a miracle remedy, and one that was generally available. Rich Greek women lacking centaur hair sat in such bathtubs filled with feces until they really began to feel that they were simply overwhelmed with youth and strength. Second way is to get drunk on mercury. However, sitting in crocodile poop is at least not harmful. In ancient China, in the first millennium BC, people considered mercury sulfide to be a miraculous remedy for prolonging life. They called it cinnabar. It should have been consumed internally. According to their manuscripts, this is exactly what one scientist named Chufu did for 30 years until he looks like a teenager. The only side, according to witnesses, was that his hair became fiery red. But it's hard to believe that after drinking so much mercury, the Chinese didn't die quickly enough. The following story confirms that. The legendary first emperor of United China, Qixing Huangji, sent his officials to all corners of the Celestial Empire in search of the elixir of immortality. And that's how the story ends. According to one version, the emperor died after being poisoned by mercury, which was part of the elixir of immortality, compiled by court physicians. Smear yourself with gladiator sweat. Well, in ancient Rome, all today's dietary supplements were replaced by the blood and sweat of gladiators. Sweat was preferred by Roman matrons. It was added to ointments and it was believed perfectly rejuvenated the skin and also acted as an aphrodisiac. Even the old men, after the battle, raced to the arena to wash themselves with the blood and the gladiator's shred in the arena. It was believed that the blood and sweat of even an ordinary gladiator killed in a duel would cure epilepsy, but the blood of the winners would help them prolong their lives and become fabulously rejuvenated. If previous methods are not crazy enough, what would you say about next one? Eating mummies. In medieval France, the most popular dietary supplement, which pharmacists prescribed downright miraculous powers, became mummy's powder due to a banal error in the translation of Arabic texts. Real mummies were ground into powder and taken orally, and various ointments were made from them. Mummies from the Middle East were shipped by the ton to Europe. Arab and Jewish merchants did not understand how they could eat this disgusting thing, but this didn't stop them from developing large-scale trade. European travelers described how Egyptians worked hard to find mummies and take them to Cairo, where they resold them to traders. Mummies from ancient Egyptian tombs were worth all their gold. It was believed that only they had miraculous life-giving powers. Only the richest could afford them, and the poorer nobility and merchants limited themselves to Arab mummies. Next method is the most beautiful way to stay young forever. Alchemists took a different path in search of the elixir of immortality. They calculated quite logically, immortality is a state that is not subject to change. And what metal was then considered the only one not subject to acids, corrosion, or even time itself? Gold! All that remains is to isolate from it what makes it retain such properties and transfer it to the human body. Well, then the logic is simple, as in one ancient Oriental recipe. Whoever takes gold inside will live as long as gold. Gold has become the most important component of all recipes for the elixir of immortality. Here, for example, is a unique recipe compiled for Pope Boniface VIII. Mix crushed gold, pearls, sapphires, emeralds, rubies, topazes, white and red corals, ivory, sandalwood, deer heart, aloe root, musk and amber. Sounds expensive, and it's probably beautiful, but it doesn't need to go inside. Last but not least, radiation. If you think that all these methods is a misconception of the distant past, here's a shocking recipe for prolonging youth from the early 20th century. 100 years ago, a miracle remedy was recognized: radiation. It was believed that it could cure all diseases and rejuvenate the body. As a result, wealthy people took radioactive baths in special hospitals, drank radioactive water inside, and used elite radioactive cosmetics, which were supposed to actually rejuvenate the skin. A huge scandal erupted when socialite United States golf champion and leading radioactive water proponent Eben Byers died. The millionaire believed in the magical power of radiation, as in the Lord God, drank radioactive water ready-to in inhuman doses, forced his mistress Mary Hill to drink it, sent boxes to all his friends, and even gave it to his horse. As a result, Byers, a follower of scientific progress, lost his hair and only had 6 teeth left. His bones became soft like clay, and his body was completely covered with cancerous tumors. Tell us in the comment which crazy ways of saving youth you've heard about, and subscribe to our channel